Hi, my name is Vojtěch and I'm Senior QA Engineer in Kin Software House, and I'm here to tell you about the testing process behind Major Overhaul of Multiplayer. To test the multiplayer, we had to go through 6,513 test cases. Most of them were related to blocks and their interactions between each other and the multiplayer environment. We had 5 people in this involved. 2 of those were exploratory testing and 3 of those were testing the test cases that I mentioned before. And we processed around, or exactly, 1,105 issues during that, which most of those were regressions, but those are the bugs that we kept from getting to you players. Then the most challenging thing to test for the multiplayer for me was testing the new prediction, animation and parenting system, where to alleviate latency from players, we the developers came up with the prediction system, which means that the actions that you do on the client are immediately inputted, and then some correction or prediction happens so that it is the same as on the server. But you don't have to wait the latency, so you feel more responsive. The controls feel more responsive. Also, the animation part was how it behaves on the server. And it was hard to test the interaction between switching from prediction to animation and all the different interactions that were taking place in real time. And we had diagnostics for that that helped us do those tests. For example, when you fly with your character in jetpack to a very large ship that was moving, then we had a system for parenting your character that was predicted by definition. Your character is always predicted unless some circumstances were met. And then it would get parented to the large grid to create, for example, a bubble around you where your movement is safe for you, where you get the physical space around you from the parented grid, so you do not clip through things, you move with the grid correctly and so on. And we had to test that through various test cases that we had to come up with on the spot, because it was like endless tweaking of stuff. It was not easy, but we managed to do it. It was close cooperation with the developers. So we had the debug network sync. That was a debug in our game that we have access to, where the drawings on the screen show us if it is desynchronized. So I see my character in some place and the debug is showing me how it is seen on the server. So I know it is not synchronized, so I report it as desynchronized. The important part was moving around a big grid, as I mentioned earlier, and that was solved by the parenting, but we had to test it in different ways, because, for example, walking on a big grid is automatically parented, but flying around the big grid should not always be parented. Only when it is, for example, moving above certain threshold, and when it is rotating, it is also necessary to move the character with the grid. But not while in jetpack, because while in jetpack you are not in contact with the grid, so it should be working as well expected for the player. So then we had special cases for grids that could become parented as well. Not only player, but also grids, simple grids without any subgrids. For example, for simple ships. But car has subgrids like wheels or something with pistons. That is not predicted, because that would be very hard to test for all those, not for us, but real life in the game, to test for the different scenarios that have to be met or tested to determine if it is supposed to be predicted or animated. Then it would clip into each other and so on. Also, the important thing that we did or released on Major Overhaul was the user response site. And some players were asking for a template of sorts of what is the needed information to report. And the needed thing, what we actually need to reproduce this, or most of the issues are, what is happening, where it is happening, or if it is on server or on client, or on single player or multiplayer lobby, for example. How is it happening? That means steps to reproduce it. Mostly it would be the smallest possible reproduction step list that you can get to reproduce the issue. And then the logs, the videos, the screenshots, all the necessary information that is needed to reproduce, or for us to decipher what is going on, because sometimes you cannot reproduce it and you just have to guess from the logs or other information. And then if it is, for example, a visual bug, we need the specs of the PC, where it happened, because sometimes it could be PC specific, the machine specific one, or the information like DX diag, or information about your drivers and so on. Then I want to tell you about some funny bugs we encountered, which is the joy of being a QA is sometimes finding these funny bugs and having a laugh about them, and then fixing them with the developers. For example, we had two exactly the same grids flying next to each other, and because it was during the early stages of the parenting development, those two grids parented to each other, and they parented so much that it caused a Stack Overflow and crashed the game. But we fixed that. And then there was also a bug where when you walked on small grids that were so light that you could bump into them and make them roll, then the grid would roll and you would stand on it, and the parenting would think, hey, this is a grid and you should be parented to it, and then it rotated you into other grids and voxels and so on. And then the modified part of that was standing on wheels, for example. So the wheels were spinning much faster than these small grids and would do the same effect but with larger magnitude. And then there was one where the velocity of your character was added to the velocity of the grid twice. So when you jumped, the predictions thought that you were jumping 100 meters in front of the grid. Thank you for watching, and I hope you've enjoyed this little sneak peek into our internal QA process. And please report any bugs you found to the Keen Software House user response support site, where we track all the different issues that you encounter, where you can vote on them, and that will help us determine if these issues are the ones that we should focus on. Okay, see you next time.